The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Medford, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37294. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting with a full view of the passenger side of the vehicle, we'll focus in next onto the cab section, starting at the front axle with a visual sight gauge into the center of axle area. Moving to the forward section, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light on the front bumper. Moving toward the rear of the cab, D-handle gains you access into a pan door toward a storage location to the rear of the cab. Directly above that, you'll find an emergency warning side-facing light. And also directly over the front axle is where you'll find a D-handle to gain you access into this location directly behind the officer's seat. Easily accessible with a gloved hand, these are your door lock and latch. They are keyed. Right next to it, you'll find your grab handle for gaining entry and exit into the cab area. On the A-pillar, you'll find a side-facing camera. As we move from this location to the very rear portion of the cab wall, it's where you'll find your LED water tank level indicator, and just forward of that location, you'll find a side-facing scene light. Let's move to the body section next, where you'll find at the rear of the axle a attachment point or winch location, 9,000-pound direct pull. Just in front of the rear axle is where you'll find your automatic tire chains, and then just in front of that you'll find your exhaust. Moving to the front section of the body, you'll find a foot pedal for your reel rewind. Moving just in front of the axle, side-facing marker turn indicator light. There are also 2 pan doors located here for SCBA bottle storage, and then directly over the axle is where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving to the very top section, you'll find a side-facing scene light. Let's move forward of this location to the pump panel area. Just a quick view, and we'll come back to this when we identify everything in the pump section. Moving to the rear of the apparatus, you have a cluster here housing emergency light, brake, turn, and reverse light. There are also 4 fold-down steps for gaining access to move up aloft or gain access to hose storage. Directly above the top step is where you'll find a cover for your backup camera system, and then directly above that, emergency warning light rear-facing, and also a rear-facing scene light. As we move all the way to the top, you'll find a 360-degree emergency warning light. Let's move down where you'll find some cupped switches located in this area in the very bottom. Just above that location, you'll find 2 2.5-inch rear discharges. Just above that, in the very center section over the engine 14 door, is where you'll find your traffic advisor. And then you'll also find just to the right of this location a pan door housing pike poles and also rubbish trash hooks. Let's move around now to the side of the vehicle, full view. On the driver's side, we'll focus in on the cab section next. Once again, visual sight gauge indicator in the center of the axle, Alcoa wheel, Michelin tire. Moving now up to the door lock and latch combination, and also keyed lock. Right next to that, the grab handles for gaining entry and exit into the vehicle. As we move to the rear of the driver's door, you'll find a push button cab unlock. Moving toward the rear of the cab, you'll find a D-handle gains you access into this pan door for additional storage. Directly above that is an emergency warning light, side facing. Also above that is your airline auto eject, and then shoreline power 20 amp. When plugged into shoreline power, just above that your voltage indicator will illuminate. Moving up to the very top section, you're going to find an LED water tank level indicator. And then moving directly over the front wheel at the top section of the notch, you'll find a side-facing scene light. Moving to the midsection of the apparatus pump panel area, we'll go over this in just a few moments. Let's first take a look at the body of the vehicle. Starting first in just the front section of the body, at the lower section, you'll find your foam drains. Also, foot pedal for your reel rewind. Wheel chocks located in front of and rear of the axle. Receiver hitch. Just in front of the axle, you'll find a marker turn indicator light. There are 2 pan doors located here for your fuel door, DEF, and also SCBA bottle storage. To the very center, you'll find LED side-facing emergency warning light, part of your lower zone. And as we move up to the very top rear section, you'll find a side-facing scene light along with your emergency warning light at the rear of the apparatus. Going back to the front bumper area, you'll find attachment points here at the front. Moving over to the side, unit identifier, engine 14. Moving just inside that location, your electronic siren and PA speaker. Dual air horns on the passenger and driver side. And then also a drop-down storage location for your front hose load. Also on the face of the front bumper, you'll find your mechanical siren. And as we move up onto the top of the bumper extension, you'll find your fire bell. Moving to the outer edge, you'll find a marker turn indicator light, and then just inside that location, the bezel housing your headlights, high beam, will be located on the inside. Directly above that, forward-facing emergency warning lights. There are a cluster of 2 on the passenger and 2 on the driver. As we move to the Pierce logo, directly behind this is where you'll find the release mechanism for your hood latch. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. As we move to the A-pillar, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Directly behind the windshield in the center is your Haas traffic advising system. There are 5 identification clearance lights across the brow of the apparatus, and then also 2 forward-facing floodlights. Moving up onto the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located within inside the light bar in the center is where you'll find your Opticom device. Directly behind the light bar, you'll find the Go light located on the very center behind the emergency warning light bar. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the front bumper and the front bumper extension. You do have a front discharge. This is foam capable. The 2 latches drop down the very front section, and then also your discharge location on the rear bumper wall. Let's move into the hood area. Start on the passenger side where you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Moving toward the driver's side is your reservoir for your coolant. This is a recovery tank. Moving just to the right, you'll find a placard indicating to raise and lower your cab. There are operating instructions. You'll also find the remote for raise and lower. Directly behind that, there's an additional push button. This is a hidden unlock feature for your cab doors, and then also the selector switch for raise or lower. And as we move to the very far right, you'll find your steering fluid location, sight gauge, and fill. Moving now inside the cab space, starting first with the driver's door, and we'll start with the door panel. A fixed door panel, safety and warning placard information. We have a combination door lock and latch. Electric window controls for all 4 cab windows controlled from the driver's side. Emergency warning light, and also a grab handle. As we move to about the floor of the right leg of the operator, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, and cold tire inflation. This also houses the VIN number, all of the components, fluid capacity, and fluid capacity type. As we move to the left knee of the operator, you'll find the engine ABS diagnostic port, also the SRS transmission diagnostic port, and your command zone diagnostic port. Also some switches for ABS diagnostics, engine diagnostic, regen inhibit, and DPF regen. As we move to the steering wheel, your steering wheel does have emergency warning light controls. and also windshield wiper controls. This vehicle also is equipped with an SRS supplemental restraint system. This is the airbag located in the steering column. Let's move to the dash now, first starting on the left with your four-way hazards. Moving down, start and ignition switch. Also down at the very bottom is your red master battery switch. Just up from that location, an EM switch, which stands for emergency master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights. Headlight switch and a switch labeled panel, which will allow you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. To the right, the OK to engage your high idle indicator and switch. Moving to the left cluster, you'll find your transmission oil, def level, and water temp on the right, front air, rear air, fuel, and volts. Directly in the center is the tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information for your vehicle will display above and also below the tachometer and speedometer. Let's move just to the right of the steering column, where you'll find the yellow diamond, which is your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. Also the Pierce command zone, a tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see the owner's manual for more detail. Allison transmission pad with an informational note to pump and drive. Here is the command zone. It is a touch screen and also function button. To the right is your pump shift. There are instructions from road to pump, and then also instructions from pump to road. Just as a reminder, two green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump, must be illuminating for pump operations when exiting the cab. As we move down, you'll find some light switches here. Driver's side cab scene, front scene, passenger side cab scene, also driver's side body scene, rear scene, and passenger side body scene. As we move up to the very top, you'll find your exhaust temperature. Moving down, you'll find switches for the retarder on and off, auto, off-road traction, tire chains, door locks, and backup alarm override. Also some informational caution regarding disengaging the retarder, and then also engaging your tire chains at 25 miles an hour or less. Mirror control for left and right mirror, air conditioning, heat, and defrost controls. Over the driver's seat, you'll find a yellow placard indicating information about your vehicle. This has information of the height of the vehicle, 9 feet 11 inches, length of the vehicle, 33 feet 1 inch, and a gross vehicle weight rating, 49,800 pounds. This also has your 5-digit job number, 37294-01. Moving to the right, we have your traffic advisor. Some switches located here also. First, let's start at the very top with your emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning. Next section down is where you'll find your lower rear warning, upper rear warning, your Opticom switch, and perimeter lighting. As we move further to the right, an additional switch panel housing a siren brake for your mechanical siren, electronic siren, switch between mechanical and electronic siren, air horn, load manager, mirror heat, tank not full. Let's move just to the right of this location, where you'll find your siren control module and PA speaker system. Moving to the very center, you'll find the forward-facing module. This is your HOS system, which is your traffic advising system. Also, a red indicator, do not move your apparatus when this light is on. You may have a door or compartment open. Just a quick view toward the rear wall of the cab. There are three forward-facing SCBA seats. As we move behind the driver's seat, where you'll find your speaker for your backup camera with volume control. Also, the manual cab lift handle. When plugged into Shoreline Power, the auto charger will activate, allowing you to maintain battery charge. As we move to the exterior now, just directly behind the driver and officer seat, an additional storage location, adjustable shelf. In this compartment, we have a 12-volt access via breaker style, and then also quick look at your tire, Michelin, Alcoa visual sight gauge. Moving now to the rear section of the cab door, you'll find a fixed door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, window control, and a grab handle. Overhead, you'll find push on and off white or red lens lights, your air conditioning unit, and also no additional storage. At the rear section of the engine, lift and turn latch will gain you access into the lower section for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Moving to the upward section, this is directly behind the officer and driver's head. It's where you'll find additional storage. Inside that compartment, you'll also find termination here for battery access. There's also 12-volt access via USB style on the side of the compartment behind the officer seat and driver's seat. In the very center, you'll find additional storage. This is just below that storage cabinet where you'll find daily access for oil and transmission. Moving now from this location overhead, this is behind the officer seat. Additional storage overhead inside that compartment. Also 12-volt access. Pedestal located in the very center seat does have the access location under that pedestal seat for your main radio. As we move to the exterior, this is a close-up here of the auto eject and also shoreline inlet, 20 amp with an indicator showing when plugged into shoreline power. As we move to the rear of the cab, D-handle gains you access into the storage location to the rear cab wall. We'll now move into the pump panel area next. At the very top, you'll find backboard storage. This is right up against the cab wall, and also 2 crosslays. As we move down, you'll find your Husky control module for your foam system, master gauge for pump intake, and master gauge for pump discharge. In between the two of those, you'll find an audible speaker. The outer edge of that bezel of the speaker does rotate, allowing it to either brighten or dampen sound. As we move down, you'll find your front discharge, crosslay 1 and 2, and also the real discharge. These are clustered together. Also your 2.5-inch discharges, driver 1, 2, and also passenger side. As we move forward, you'll find an electric valve which controls your deluge, a wheel valve which controls the passenger side large diameter discharge, and we also have a low foam level indicator and also a warning placard indicating when climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. This is a fall hazard warning. As we move to the in-control FRC pressure throttle governor at the very top module, you also have an indicator OK to pump green indicator indicating that you've done things properly in the cab. There is a left and right rear discharge. These are both 2.5-inch discharge and they are foam capable. Your vehicle does have an auto tank fill for your water tank, and then also a tank fill and recirculating line. Moving down to the blue module, this is your water tank level indicator, and then just below that you'll find your tank to pump. As we move up to the very top section on the right side of this image, you'll find access here. These are test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure, currently plugged and are utilized for testing purposes. Engine cooler, which is a twist, not a pull. You'll also find the driver's main inlet and passenger main inlet. Just below that, you'll find the direct tank fill, which is an electric valve also. And then below that, you'll find your Watrous primer for best practices when priming at least 1,000 RPMs. Let's move down to the lower left portion of the pump panel where you'll find 2 2.5-inch discharges located here. As we move just to the right of this location, you'll find a warning placard that caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. And then just to the right, you'll find your main pump inlet. Moving down, a warning placard indicating warning, only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment and only after proper training. A auxiliary inlet, which is a 2.5-inch locally controlled ball valve, female inlet. All of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's move just to the right of this location. At the very top, you'll find your manual pump shift, and then to the right of that, you'll find the pump drain. There are 2 placards located in this area. One is your Watrous placard indicating the type of pump and capacity. Just below that, you'll find your UL placard, which is while testing your pump. These are the test pressures. We'll go over that in just a moment. Just beneath that, you'll find your Husky 12 foam system specifications and also operating instructions. and a warning placard here regarding do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Moving further down, you'll find a foam inlet outlet, and then just underneath that, an air outlet with a control valve locally here. Let's move down to the very bottom where you'll find our color-coded and labeled discharge drains as we previously mentioned. Let's look inside that pan door where you'll find your relief valve. There is a settings availability on that. As we move to the lower pan door, this is the foam operational fill lever. It is the yellow handle at the very back, matches the location on the side of the door. Just underneath that, you'll find a direct tank fill for your water tank. Let's go back to those placards. This is indicating a capacity of 1,500 GPM. As we move back to the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI, on the left-hand side of the placard, while at test pressure, it gives you your GPM. On the right-hand side, it gives you your RPM. A governed speed while in pump mode, 2,100 RPMs. As we move all the way down, you'll find your foam pump discharge drain and foam pump intake drain. Moving further to the right at the very bottom section, you'll find a floating hose storage location here for your intake hose. As we move into the compartment, adjustable shelves and also a toolbox. In the upper portion of the compartment, you'll find shoreline power outlets and then also direct battery 12 volt. Let's move into the compartments now. Let's start at the very top section of those compartments where you'll find LED lights on the right and left side of the compartment, dry deck material on the bottom section. Just down from this location, SCBA bottle storage for up to 3 SCBA bottles with retaining straps and DuraServe to protect the bottles. Moving down, Michelin tires, Alcoa wheel on the rear axle. Just up from this location to the rear is your silver cap, which is the ultra low sulfur diesel fill. As we move the flap downward, it exposes the DEF tank, which is a blue cap, 4.5 US gallons. As we continue to move around through the compartments themselves, as we move to the rear compartment, adjustable shelving and pull-out tray in the lower section. Release mechanism on that shelf is on the very right-hand side of the tray. All compartments and doors open now. Let's move from this location to the rear of the apparatus where we've identified most things within this area, but let's take a couple close-ups of those things. First, starting at the very back, this is your backup camera. As we move now to some warning placards indicating fall hazard, always face the vehicle while climbing on or off, and then also fall hazard, never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. As we move down, a warning placard here indicating pressure hazard, caps may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. As we move to the right, you'll find a warning regarding entanglement hazard. Because those lines coming from aloft, there's the possibility of entanglement. As we move to the rear, you'll find a pull-out tray in the upper portion. You'll find when plugged into shoreline power, this outlet will become active. Moving now just to the right-hand side of the pull-out tray, that's the location for the release mechanism for restoring it back to its original position. There are 2 pike poles and then also a 6-foot rubbish hook. 4 hose bed dividers located at the rear of the apparatus. Moving now around to the passenger side, you'll find adjustable shelves and also a pull-out tray on the lower portion. Continuing to move forward to this location, SCBA bottle storage for 6 bottles with retaining straps. A tool board, release mechanism located on the lower right-hand side of the hinge. We're now back to that rear axle, Michelin tires, Alcoa wheel. As we move up to the rear of the axle, you'll also find SCBA bottle storage, and then just in front of that, a marker turn indicator light. Warning here regarding extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Be cautious where you park your vehicle, especially during regen operations. Moving into the rear axle, you'll see the tire chains down in the lower portion. As we move into the compartment, a pull-out tray in the lower portion, release on the lower right. As we move now to the pump panel area, let's start at the very top section with an entanglement warning hazard. Because those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. Moving now down into the cross lays and backboard storage, same configuration as you previously had on the driver's side. Warning here regarding fall, always face the vehicle while climbing on and off. Also, your powered equipment rack, there are instructions for its operation. As we look inside the pan door, you'll also find your strainer cap located inside. Moving down for your powered equipment rack, also indicating a placard here for the hydraulic oil reservoir. Moving down to the very bottom, you'll find the direct tank fill on the passenger side. Also large diameter discharge, a 2.5-inch discharge, and then also you'll find your main pump inlet. At the very bottom, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Hose storage in the running board. And then back to the pump panel area. Directly in front of that is where you'll find the rear cab door. Pan door gains you access. This is a transverse compartment. And we'll now move into the cab space at the rear. General view overhead, push on and off white or red lens lights, stereo speakers, and air conditioning unit. Same configuration we saw just from the driver's side and passenger side now. There are 3 forward-facing crew seats. Moving now forward into the officer storage location. There is also 12-volt access at the very top, direct to battery. Moving back exterior now to the front axle, visual sight gauge indicator, Alcoa wheel, Michelin tire. Moving now into the officer space. Affixed to door panel, safety and warning placard information, electric window control, door lock and latch, and a grab handle. Overhead, push on or off red or white lens lights, your stereo system speakers, and your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system. That is the SRS badging located in the very center of the dash or front bulkhead. Also a fire bell rope, and also a push button for your air horn, 12-volt access via USB. Additional storage in the forward section on the officer side. Let's take a look at additional 12-volt access USB, and then also barrel style. When plugged into shoreline power, these outlets will become active, and then moving to the very front, your vehicle data recording port. As we move overhead, you'll find your AM/FM weather band radio. Moving to the rear seat, your location for your radio unit. All compartments open now. Let's go ahead and take a look with the equipment rack down. We have a 24-foot and 14-foot roof ladder, 10-foot folding attic ladder. Some additional images here with the ladder rack down, and then we'll go ahead and move up into the dunnage area. First, a quick look at the hose bed cover, the 2 right and left side rear facing emergency warning lights, and then also scene lights on each side. As we move into your top fill for your water tank, also I'd like to point out your foam tank does have a warning placard here indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Moving now into the dunnage area where you'll find your Husky 12 reservoir. This is the hydraulic fluid. There's a visual sight gauge indicator, a valve down in the lower portion, and also a fill top portion. As we move to the center, you'll find your master stream device. There is an extend again located here at the piping in the lower section. Booster line, free tension spool, and also manual rewind. As we move to the diamond plated area in the dunnage area, This will unveil the on and off for your Acron electric valve for the MasterStream device. As we move to the cab section, you'll find this is a non-walking surface. We've identified that and have placed placards on both the right and left side due to it being slippery. Let's go ahead and take a look through the chassis and undercarriage area. First, let's start underneath the truck with the attachment points for your tow hooks. They are the second set of eyes back. As we move now to the cab tilt, when your vehicle has had the cab fully tilted, maintain equal pressure on both the right and left cylinder. Place the safety bar into place. At that point, do not lower the cab onto the safety bar. Maintain equal lift pressure. Your vehicle is equipped with a TAC4 independent front suspension. As we move down on the driver's side, you'll find the battery storage location. Just on the bottom side of the battery storage location is where you'll find the positive and negative jumper studs. To the rear of this location is the fill location for your hydraulic cylinders for the cab lift. As we continue the next set of images here of the chassis and body and undercarriage, there'll be no additional audio. This will conclude the additional images of the chassis and undercarriage. We do have a short video with your emergency warning lights activated. Congratulations, Medford, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37294. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.